Elizabeth St. Hilaire, and this week I'm going to show you exactly what I do with all those gel prints that I make. Many of you have asked me, what in the world am I going to do with all of this gel printed paper? Well, I make hand-painted paper collages with the paper. That sounds a little redundant, doesn't it? I make collages with the hand-painted paper. I glue the papers down over an acrylic underpainting to create a painterly, impressionistic collage, a collage that looks like a painting. So this week I'm going to give you a sneak peek into my process and show you exactly how I do it. So if you've got a few minutes, let's go check it out. So I created, I used my Masterson Stay Wet box palette system right here to create this 16 by 20 underpainting for collage of the Sedona Red Rocks, the Bell Rock Pathway. So this is a lesson that I just posted to Patreon, from the sketch to the underpainting, 2 lessons. And today I'm going to show you a little bit of a sneak peek into how I apply collage over my underpainting and ultimately take this painting, this acrylic painting, and make it into a paper painting. So welcome to the studio. Today, I'm giving you a sneak peek into my collage application process. This is what I do with all those gel prints. So you can see that I've got a bucket full of orange gel printed paper, and I have got a beautiful acrylic underpainting of Bell Rock and Bell Rock Pathway in Sedona, Arizona. So my process is such that I do an acrylic underpainting, and then I glue, and then I tear and glue my gel prints on top to create a collage that looks like a painting. So this underpainting is a 1-hour lesson that went from sketch to what you see here over on my Patreon page. So the in-depth multi-part lessons are what happens in Patreon. So I did the sketch transfer and I did the underpainting. That was an hour, a little bit more than an hour to do the underpainting. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of an insight into the process here today for tutorial tidbits, but I will leave the camera running, and it'll probably have to be 2 or 3 sessions of getting all the way through the collage, but all of those lessons are going to be on Patreon. So I'm giving you a sneak peek into my collage process and a sneak peek into the types of things I present on Patreon. And I always get a lot of questions about what do I do with all those gel prints. So since you're used to watching me make gel prints, I thought I would let you watch me incorporate them into my art. Okay, so I work from the back to the front. So I'm gonna be in the rock formation because it's behind all this greenery, with the exception of this little bit of green that goes behind the rocks. So I pulled out some sort of bluish green gel prints here to put in this area, and then I'm gonna be all in the fun with the orange and the peach colors. I'm using Liquitex Gloss Gel Medium as my adhesive. I use gloss because it is perfectly optically clear. Matte products are not perfectly optically clear. So you want to use gloss because gloss is going to keep the colors vibrant. Layers and layers and layers of a matte product will dull the intensity of your color. So that is why I'm using gloss, and I only use this Princeton Catalyst short handle number 8 filbert brush for my glue. It has a rigid bristle, a very rigid bristle, and this one's a little frayed out. After a while that happens, but I've got some brand new ones here. You can see the difference in the tip. Yeah, so this is the only brush I use for glue because the rigid bristle allows me to press my pieces down really nice and flat and get them all nice and smooth. That's super important to me, that all the pieces are down flat and smooth and without any wrinkles. So I usually take out several of these so that I can work and keep working, and then just throw them into the water bucket as I go along, and then I'll stop to wash them later rather than having to stop to wash them midstream. And to clean them, I use the Masters brush cleaner. That gets out all the glue, including some of the stuff that gets kind of up jammed back down in the towards the ferrule. So the Masters brush cleaner is what I use to clean these. So that's my setup, and I am working on Frederick's cradled canvas panel. So this is canvas on the front, but it's wood on the back. And that's because in order to press these pieces of collage paper down and get them perfectly flat so that it looks like a painting, I have to have a lot of resistance. So I'm using that rigid bristle brush to press, and I'm not getting any flex of a stretched canvas. So this is on wood panel with canvas on the front, which is nice because then I don't have to prime or prep it at all. I can just go right away because it's already primed canvas on the front of the panel. Okay. And it's cradled. So what does that mean? Sometimes people ask me what that means. It has an edge like this that I'll paint around. I'll paint the edges a solid color, and then you can hang it just like a gallery wrapped canvas. It doesn't need to be framed. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gloss gel medium, and I am going to take my glue brush. Let's break in a new one. It's always nice to do that. Pristine. So I'm going to take my glue brush, and I'm going to put glue just in the area where I'm working, and I don't want that to spread too far because this stuff dries really fast. It's basically acrylic paint without any color. It is the binder of acrylic paint without any color. So it's going to dry kind of fast, so I don't want to spread it too far. So I'm going to hold up this paper and audition it and see if it meets my criteria. Is it the right color, and is it the right value? And it is the right value. It's a little bit of a different color, but it's the right value. So I'm going to tear a piece, and I'm going to put it, let's see if I can tear that to be a little bit more interesting. And then I'm going to put it into the glue, and then I'm going to put glue over the top and take the brush to press it down flat. I'm applying a lot of pressure and bringing the glue in from all edges, and then wiping off the excess and cleaning the excess off the front of my brush so that it doesn't jam all down towards here. Sometimes I'll scrape it in the container, and sometimes I'll just wipe it over a damp paper towel just to keep it off of the ferrule and from getting all down on the handle, because that makes a big mess. This is the only tool I use to put the paper down and to flatten it. I'm not going to use my fingers. In fact, I see that wrinkling a little bit, so I'm going to apply a little bit more pressure. I'm not going to use my fingers because if my fingers get covered with glue, then I can't tear the paper. So that's important. So now I'm going to come to another bluish green color that I think will work. And oops, I've got this little piece. Let's put that in here somewhere over here. And press. And then I'm going to mix up the paper. I'm not going to keep using the same paper. So I've got this one. It's got a little gold on it. I could flip it over and not use the gold, or maybe the gold would be kind of cool. So let's put that right in here and press. And I tore a little gold bit off. I think I lost it. Oh, no, there it is. And we'll put that sort of right there and press. So the gold is kind of nice. So let's do a little bit more of that and move it over here and press. And I always tear. I never use scissors because I want it to look like a painting. That means I want organic edges to all of these pieces. If I use scissors, then it looks like it was cut, and then it looks like paper from across the room. And I don't want anyone to know it's paper until they get right up on top of it and realize that it's not a painting. It's a collage, and that is the aha moment that I go for. So in order to achieve that, I have to make sure everything's down nice and flat, and I have to make sure that everything has organic edges that can be mistaken for brush marks. So I am using, you can see I'm using multiple different pieces to give it texture and brush mark feeling rather than one big chunk, which would also make it look like paper. So I'm going to go back and forth between the papers, the 3 or 4 papers here that I have, layering and filling in that space. I'm going to come into the rock formation just a little bit so that when I bring the orange, I'll overlap that green and we'll have a nice perfect edge where they meet due to a little bit of overlapping. And that's why I work from the back to the front. So I can bring this green into the orange just a little bit and then overlap the orange on top of it. So I have a nice clean edge. So here's another one. This is a rice paper that I bled the color all the way through. I don't want the white in there, but I do want to grab it here where it has this nice teal color. And I'm going to put that up at the top. And a little bit of this teal green. And you can see that I'm building up something that looks like a little painted greenery going behind the rock. And I'm going to do that first before I get into the rock formation because I'm going to overlap as I come forward. So that is why I'm not going to do the rest of the green yet. That's a little light right there. So it's lighter than what I painted. So I'm going to go over that with something a little bit darker. I'm not going to do the rest of the green because that rest of that green is in front of the rock formation. So just this, what's going behind here. And I want to make sure I cover all of the area that was painted and with a variety of patterns and textures of paper. So you can see I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4 different sheets in this little area here. Trying my best to make it look like a painting. Okay, so I feel like I've got that established pretty well. I didn't come all the way to the edge here. Let's get a piece that comes all the way over here. What's most important is that I get it where it goes behind the rock before I do the rock. I can always come out here and do edges and things that are further out later. But what's most important is this edge right here. So then I can come in with the peach and the orange colors. So within the rock formation, I have to work from back to front as well. So I have to look at what is overlapping. You know, this is sort of, I think it overlaps as it goes up because this is in front of that, it looks like, and this is in front of that, but this is in front of that. So that means I think I'll work from the top down for the most part, trying to be mindful of that. So now I'm looking at papers that have like the right color and the right value and maybe some interesting patterns or marks. I've got some really nice orange here, some peach. This is really a lot of peach. It was orange mixed with white, so I know that that's a peach. So here's a nice peach color. Look at that. That's a really good match. So I'm sort of just going through this drawer of all my orange and peach papers, and I'm going to pull out things that I know are going to work well. First, I'm going to pull out some pieces so I have a variety. Sometimes I'm guilty of just staying at the top of the drawer, so it's important to dig down and find the stuff that's at the bottom. Here's an interesting pile of pink, though. I know for sure there's some interesting peaches in there, but you never know. I mean, there's years worth of paper down here, so I'm going to make sure I go down to the bottom and grab some things down there for variety, maybe some of this. And I most certainly will have to dig back in here again, but this has given me a place to start. So I've got some great gel printed papers here that are really good textures and patterns and the right values for this bell rock. So here's a good color value. You can see it really matches here. So I'm going to put some, working from the top, I'm going to put the glue down. And I'm going to tear this in an organic rough edge, just like I did with the greenery. And I'm going to start laying that in and pressing down. And then again, here, I'm going to bring it out there and press. And then I want to switch up the paper for variety, but this is too dark. So that's pretty good, but it's a little bit more pink. That's a little bit too dark. This is how I determine. That's a little too pink. This is close, but it's a little dark for that top part. Unless I use that right here at the end. I think I can make that work. And that gives me a little more variety of color and texture and pattern. So that's a little, yeah, that works. It's a little darker than what I painted here. I think it's not so much darker. It's just a little bit more yellow, and that's a little bit more peach. So here's another one. I'll come back in with a little bit more peach. You can always overlap. If you put a piece down and you don't like it, you can overlap it Here again, I've got that glue, so I'm going to brush it off onto the board. I'm going to scrape it into my container, or I'm going to wipe it off the front with the paper towel to keep the brush nice. The brushes are about $10 a piece, so if you clean them with the Master's brush cleaner and you wipe them down and you treat them right, they'll last you a long time. So here I'm going to put this one in here. I'll come back to this one. I'm switching up my papers so I get that sort of painterly effect with brush marks. So right in there, that one is a little bit more yellow, and so I'm going to use this right in there. And then here, this is the shadow side, and it's a lot darker. So when I hold up this paper, it's not dark enough. And when I hold up this paper, it could be dark enough in the dark area. It's pretty good in the dark area, but I think that's a little too orange. I think I'm going for something like a little more orangey brown like that. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this, and that really is a good match. So then I'm going to lay that down, and I'm jumping around a little bit here because my dark shadow in here in the purple, I've got to find, let's put that in there. Look at that. That's a perfect match. And this is an old German Bible that I gel printed. So it's got some German text in it. That's kind of fun. And it's the perfect match for right in there. So what's going to happen here is I need to get some purple, but I don't want a hard edge between the purple and the peach. So what I'm going to try to find is a peach that has purple on it. And that's just had to have happened serendipitously. So I'll look in the peach drawer. Here's another one I could use. This is another one I could use. And I'm looking for a peach that has a purple on it. Here's some purple, but a little, that might help. And then I'll also look in the purple. This is purple. I don't know what it's doing in here, but it's a good color, and so is this. But I'll look also in the purple drawer for a purple that has peach on it. But really what I'm looking for is purple with a little peach so I can get a soft blend, a soft edge. So I don't see that in here. This is when you wish you had more paper. So I'm going to grab the purple drawer. And here I'm looking for a purple with a peach. This is a little bit close. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to make sure I wipe the glue off the surface of my brush, and I'm going to put my brush in the water so it doesn't dry out. So let's see. And what we want is not a purple that's like a pinkish purple like this. We want a purple that's more towards a lavender, like a bluish purple like that. I might use some of that in the shadows, but really what I'm looking for right now is peach and purple together. And I don't know if I'm going to find it. I might have to get creative. That's a pretty good one. That's a good color. There's a pale lavender. Aha! There it is. That's it. Something that has both peach and purple lavender. And the reason for that is to get a soft edge in these shadows. This is perfect. So how I'm going to use that is right in here, sort of where there's purple and then there's peach. And I can use that to create a soft edge between my purple and peach like that. And that's giving me a soft painterly edge rather than this hard edge. So I'm going to grab this again in the peach and the lavender and put that in here to soften my edge between the two colors, and here as well. Well, if you've made it this far, you've realized the importance of this paper. This is what I call transitional paper, and it is the paper that's got the peach, the orange, and the purple on it, and it is what I am using in between the purple and the orange, or the purple and the peach. So you've got purple in the shadow here and peach in the light here, and this paper with both colors in the middle in the transition. It is this paper that helps the eye blend from one color to the next. So for all the times you've asked me, what are you going to do with a paper that's both orange and purple? Now you know. This is a great piece of paper. This is going to help me with almost all of my transitions. So now I'm going to get into a little bit darker with the purple and the orange. And I'm going to jump around a little bit because I'm going to put that one in here. And that's the perfect color. So here again, I've got that lavender that goes into pink or peach. And I'm going to navigate that out and see where else I need to use that. Probably up in here. This is a little bit darker. Can use it right in there. And here you see I'm making the soft edge of these shadows. Okay, that needs to be flipped that way. And then in the middle there, I can come in with this piece. This one's got some dark purple, and that comes in the middle because I've already softened my edges out. And here, that's a really good color for right in there. And then I've got this one, which I think will work across the top here. Put that right there. And a little bit more over here. And then I'm going to come back to that transition paper and grab it with the purple and the peach a little lighter and bring that up here. And even grab it where there's more peach and less purple and put that up here. And then I've got this line along the right hand side that where I think this would work. And then we get light again. So I've got to come back to my really light peach options. And this would work nice in there. This has got some nice texture and pattern on it. And then I feel like I have to soften that again. So I'm going to come back to this paper with the peach and the purple. And then again, I'm going to wipe the glue off the surface of the front of my brush. And you can see I'm already on my way to creating a nice soft painterly collage here. So down this side, we've got stuff that's a little darker. It's not quite that orange. I'm dying to use this one. This is from my plains mask that with all the straight lines or wiggly straight lines. So I gel printed that, and I think that's not quite the right color, but I feel like it might look interesting over here since I've got it. Medium pieces, bigger pieces, a variety of shapes and sizes and pieces and papers is important. And these are rocks, so they're being formed out of some chunks with sort of straight edges. So I'm gonna think about maybe putting some little squares of torn paper in here to suggest the rocks. So building that up out of little square pieces gives it a feeling of rock, which is different than the shapes of the pieces that I tore for the shrubbery on the left side. I went real organic, but here I'm going a little bit more geometrical because that's the way the rock formation looks. And I do want to soften this edge right here. So again, I'm going to go back to that paper with all the great orange and purple. So you can see how my papers, my gel printed papers are helping me to create my Painterly collage. This is my process, a sneak peek into my process. This is going to take me quite a while. I've got a lot going here with the peaches and then the greenery and then the path down at the bottom. But my painting is my guide, my roadmap for my color and my value and my shapes and my sizes. So if you are interested in watching this in multi-part 1-hour lessons from start to finish, those are the kinds of things I put on Patreon. So now you know what I do with all these gel printed papers. And now you know what Patreon's all about. So if you're curious, there's a link in the upper right-hand corner, the other right-hand corner, to a video tour of my Patreon page. So pop on over there and check it out. It's a month-to-month subscription. So you can just stay for 1 month, check it out, and see if it's something that you like. And there's no obligation beyond 30 days. So I hope that you will be back next week, and thank you for being here, and happy Friday.